Hello, just figured I would kind of go over this workout that I'm going to post. It's for the forearms. So one of the first movements that is going to start out the video is a reverse wrist curl and a superset with a movement that I found for me that really hits the back of my forearm. And it's just simply doing this just as hard as I can. And for me, I do that about 12 times. It starts burning, so it works for me, so I try to incorporate it. Then I got a kettlebell reverse wrist curls. The kettlebell kind of just gives a different feel, just a variation to break up the monotony of doing the same movements over and over again. Then the next one I got is a fat bar or fat grips dumbbell wrist curl, and that measures out about 2 1/4 inches. The fatter handles kind of just put the positioning different so that it gives a different feel. You'll be stronger or weaker depending on where you're stronger or weaker. Again, it's just another variation that I like to throw in, and just breaks up the monotony. The next one that I'm kind of weak in is the behind the back barbell wrist curl. I notice for me it hits more on the outside of my forearm, and I must be weak in that area, or just the different positioning, because it's more of a downward force as opposed to this way. I guess it's more of a downward force too, but it's just a different feel. I'm sure there's a scientific reasoning behind it, but at this time I don't know that. Then I move on to the axle bar wrist curls. That one, it's just a thicker diameter. The bar has less give, it's more solid, and just puts it in a different positioning in your hand. And then something that I have been bad about doing is the reverse motion, so I've been trying to incorporate all those in, and trying to move up in strength in that movement. Then we got the 2-inch full range of motion dumbbell wrist curl. When I do the full motion, I try not to go all the way to the bottom, because I found when I do that I kind of bounce out of the bottom, which I don't want to do. I want it to be more of a solid motion, so I try to go down to where I feel is close to the bottom and come back up, so it's not a bouncing motion, it's more of just a flexion. So that's how I do it. So it's not, I might start incorporating the opening of the fingers, but at this time I just haven't done that. And then a motion that I like to do as well is for reverse is I'll lay down and hold a plate in a grip like this without the thumb, and I just extend my wrist back, and I found that just really burns up this upper part of my forearm. And then I used to do from the power rack axle bar wrist curl from the power rack, from the pins, and I found that doing the reps, I mean, it just really I didn't feel a lot. It was very heavy weight, but I just didn't, I don't know, I didn't feel like it was beneficial, so I've started doing a static hold, which I feel it a lot more, and I feel it like actually working out my forearm. So I've incorporated that in, kind of thrown out the reps with the partial range, just more of a static hold. And then something else I like to do is the axle bar wrist roll, and it's a forward roll. I don't feel it as well with the reverse roll. With the forward roll, just really lights up your forearms, especially with the axle bar. And I like to do it without my thumb wrapped, because I feel like it's more of a wrist flexion movement as opposed to a grip exercise. When if you wrap the thumb, it's kind of incorporates the grip. It'd probably be good for a variation, but at this time I just haven't tried it. Then I got just the regular dumbbell reverse wrist curls. I do like to do most of my reverse wrist curls with the thumb wrapped. I just feel like it's, for most movements, it's an actual grip, because most of the time when you are wanting to grip things, you're going to wrap your thumb. When I do wrist curls this way, I feel like wrapping my thumb decreases my range of motion. So when I do wrist curls this way, I like to have the thumb wrapped around instead of wrapped this way. It's just a feel for me, personal preference. But I do like to do it for a variation from time to time with the thumb wrapped for the reverse. And then just regular barbell wrist curls with no fat grips. That's the area I'm kind of weaker in, just because of the positioning in my hand. I hadn't done a lot of them, so I hadn't built up a strength. It's starting to come up, but for a long time I just never did it. I always stuck with the 2-inch handle or more, basically because that's just where I was strong at. I had more fun doing that. So yeah, it's just I try to do different forearm things all the time. I work my forearms almost every day. I feel like they just don't really get sore. If they do get sore, I kind of back off a little bit, kind of change up the scheme. But I try to stick with heavier weights. I feel like working the heavier weights, low reps, is kind of just the way to go. You can recover faster as long as you're not maxing to the limit all the time. So for the time being, that's kind of just how I do it. And figured I'd just give an explanation of these movements instead of just posting them. And so hopefully this helps. If it doesn't, I apologize. And if I'm boring speaking, I apologize. But other than that, have a good day.